I am the dove, and I come with a dire message. The bird clan has always been responsible for the passage of message during war, during peace. This is the responsibility of a bird. And so today I bring this message to you, to whomever will hear, as a dove. My family is Chickasaw. We have other ancestry as well, but we are eligible members of our tribe. We live in the greater Los Angeles region as of right now, and the situation is very, very dire. We are social outcasts in our own home. Our grandparents came to this region in previous generation from the U.S. Indian Territory, the 5 civil tribes. We are eligible citizens of those nations. We are citizens of the United States. But we are not citizens of California. And this is a jurisdictional issue that needs to be addressed in no uncertain terms. The United States is a nation. And alongside the United States, there are many tribal nations within it that act as completely opposite political entities to it. So each tribal nation can only interact with nationalities. So the Chickasaw Nation can speak to the Choctaw Nation, or the Navajo Nation, or Mexico, or Canada, or the United States. But each tribal government does not have a relationship with any of the 50 state governments. Now, in practicality, for the sake of good relations with our neighbors, generally they will, but they don't have to. Saying the Chickasaw Nation, for example, is not required by any law to interact with the state of Oklahoma. Because according to the Chickasaw Nation, there is no such thing. Now, they usually will, because it promotes a harmonious living space for all people. But they're not required to. And this is the situation. Those of us who are eligible members of a tribal nation and citizens of the United States, without having become a citizen of any of the individualized 50 states, are held in great disdain by the types of people who perceive themselves as a citizen of their state before their country, which is not how our people are at all. We are very nationalistic people. The Chickasaw Nation has had the same chief since before I was born. We do hold elections, but we continue to elect the same man because he's a good man, a strong man. And we don't have 50 different state medias. We have one. There's one Chickasaw Nation media department. Only one. Because we don't want outsiders coming in to change our narrative of our people. It's like there's no 50 million different Chickasaw artists. There's no Chickasaw musical license that can just be given out. There's an official Chickasaw Nation music department. And that's who makes Chickasaw music. And that's it. And whoever else works with them, yes, whoever they designate is fine. But that's what sovereignty is. And so when I explain these things to people, then, some people say, well, I know, you're basically you're like mini Russia or something like that. And I'm like, no, we're American. We're more American than you. But it's the way we do things. We've had the same chief my whole life, before my life. And we've had the same, only one state media department, only one state musical department, because that's how we work. There must be unity among our people. And that's just how it must be. We're an intensely nationalistic group of people when it comes to the tribal nationality. And married to that is the nationality associated with being of the United States. Every Indian is a citizen of his nation and of the United States, but not of any of the individualized 50 states, because those are not nations. So they really have no place to interact with us. It seems like something that the white man does to make himself feel like he's more sovereign than he really is. But I suppose that's not for me to judge. But in any case, it doesn't apply to us. And for this reason is why my parents and I are classed in the state of California as its resident aliens, despite being citizens of our nation and of the United States. And we are held in great disdain by the people who perceive themselves as citizens of their state before their country, as citizens of their state before their nation, because our people are not that way. We don't do those things. And for that reason, we are hated in California, because we're nationalist about being of our tribe and of the United States. But we're not nationalistic about being Californian, because no such nation even exists. And if you were to assert that there was such a thing, then that would be akin to the secessionism of the Civil War and all kinds of cans of worms that I don't believe you want to open. And this is just the basis of what I've come to share. We are held in great disdain by our neighbors. We are discriminated against by our neighbors. And it manifests in every possible way. And the reason for that is because we are not Californians by citizenship. We are eligible citizens of our tribal nations, and we are citizens of the United States. But we are not citizens of California, because no such nation is even in existence to begin with. And so we have this dilemma where we're perceived as not being part of the group. But the problem is the group isn't actually real. That's the point that we're getting at. The group mentality is not even a real group. It's not even a real nation. It's not even a legitimate concept. So we are held in disdain by people who don't even conceptualize properly what is a nation and what is a state and what is a tribe. We're held in hatred by those people because they can't even contextualize these terms correctly. And that is only the basis of what I've come to speak of. There's so much more. But the sole basis of it is that we are eligible of our nation. And we are members of the United States as a nation. We are not members of California as a nation, because such a concept would be treason. And it doesn't even exist. So that's a problem. Now, the flip side of that is that is not the way California sees it. California believes itself to be a government that can contend with the Fed as though it was a separate entity, and it cannot, because it is not. And such thinking is akin to the secessionists of the Confederacy, and is wrong, and is hateful, and is treasonous. So it comes down to, we experience not only what we perceive as racialized anti-American Indian sentiment, but more so political anti-United States sentiment, because our identity is wrapped up in the tribal nations and in those nations' relation to the federal government, which has nothing to do with any of the state governments, who consistently overestimate themselves as being something that they're not. They perceive themselves as being able to challenge the federal government, and they don't have that power. Our tribes do, because our tribes make treaty with the Fed. But we don't have treaty with the states, because no such thing even is real. It's not even a real concept. And it's for this reason that we are held in great hatred. We are outcast, treated like everything bad. It's the discrimination for being native, but it's also the discrimination of being American, of being a citizen of the United States without being a citizen of a specific state. Because there aren't any. Officially, it's not a nation, so you can't join it. It's not there. I'm just saying. You can't join a nation that isn't there. So there is no nation of California, so I can't be part of something that doesn't exist. It's just a region. But it's for this reason that we're hated here. Because there are many people who are American, who see themselves as Californian before American. And then there are many people who are not American, who have also become Californian citizens. And the combination of those two groups of people are very negative, because they're treasonous to the United States as a whole, which is very wrong, because it's not how our people have ever played it. American Indian has always been pro-United States. We just don't fuck with the individual 50 states. We fuck with the big guy. And that's it. And it's for that reason that we are hated here and held in great disdain by our neighbors. Because we are American, because we are American Indian, and because we are proud of those things. And the people here are not proud of those things. They're proud to be Californian, and they're proud to be foreign, but they're not even citizens of the United States, for one thing, because you can become a California citizen without becoming a U.S. citizen, which is very problematic. And many of the people who are U.S. citizens perceive themselves as Californian before federal United States citizens, which is also problematic for a different set of reasons. In any case, it ends up being discriminatory towards people like us, because we're perceived as not wanting to be part of their little group. But the fact of the matter is that their group is not even there. It's not a real thing, which is why we will not do it. And it's for that reason that we are held in disdain and discriminated against and made to be outcasts in our own home. And it's not acceptable. I'm tired of watching my parents struggle just because there are too many people here who don't belong here and who aren't even part of this country. And are not even native to this land. But the truth is that it's wrapped up in the jurisdictional issue. American Indians are not citizens of any of the 50 states because it's not a thing. American Indians are citizens of individualized tribal nations and of the federal government of the United States. And that's it. we don't fuck with any of the little wannabe 50 states. We fuck with the big guy, and that's all. And for that reason, we are often hated or perceived as being separatists, which is true, but in truth, in the grand context of it, the separatist is the people who perceive California as a nation, when it's not. We are perceived as separatists within California because we support the federal government. But in truth, it's actually the government that believes itself to be equivalent to the federal government that is acting as a true separatist on a nationalistic level. Such is the basis of the discrimination of my family. And it's wrong. And the situation is very dire. And this is why I will take no more prisoners. You will treat us with respect, or you will face every possible consequence. Because we were here first. And this is our home. This is our land. There is no such nation as California. So if you perceive yourself as a Californian before an American, you're a traitor to the nation. And especially if you're not even a U.S. citizen and you perceive yourself as a Californian, then you're definitely somebody who needs to be thrown out violently. And so this is my message to the rest of the country, to the president, to everybody. We are held in great disdain in California because we are proud American Indians, we're proud Chickasaws, and we are proud Americans. But we are not proud Californians because no such nation exists. And for this reason, we are perceived as being separatists, when in truth, it's the people who believe California to be equivalent to the federal government that are acting as separatists in a nationalistic way. And they are wrong. And they have treated us poorly, even when they are wrong. I will follow this up with further information as I have the ability to do so. But in summary, the issue is American Indian people are citizens of our nations and are citizens of the federal government of the United States as a nation. But we are not citizens of any of the individualized 50 states because we cannot be, because they are not nations, because we fundamentally don't agree with it, because it's treasonous. It's not a nation, so it has no authority to challenge the Fed. Such thinking is Confederate. In summary, we are held in disdain in our own home because we are the descendants of U.S. Indian territory and of the 5 civil tribes. We are eligible citizens of those nations and of the federal government of the United States. But we are not citizens of any of the individualized 50 states, even though we live here. And this is why we are hated by the other people here, because most of them are not native people and have no concept of what I've explained to you today. Many of them are not even Americans. Many of them who are Americans perceive themselves as Californians before Americans, which is secessionist thinking and is wrong. So what would I like to see? What would I like to see better? Well, my family should not be outcast on the basis that we are proud to be who we are and proud of our country and our tribe without having any bizarre sense of pride in a state that isn't even really there. It's just a region. It doesn't even really apply to us. And I'd like to see more respect for American Indians, for real American Indians, and more pride in being part of the United States as a nation, and less of the bullshit about, oh, I'm from my state before my country. That's bullshit, because you know it's not true, because that state's not even a real thing. And those are the factors that have caused my family to be outcast and held in great disdain by the other people who live here, many of which are Americans, but perceive themselves as California citizens before American citizens, and many of which are not even American citizens, but yet have become California citizens, which is also treason, because it asserts that California has the authority to grant citizenship to people who are not American. And this is treason. Our people don't stand for it. We never did. And this is what I've come to share with you today. The situation is dire. We are hated here. The reason? Because we are American Indian, because we are American, and because we like those things. The people here, they perceive themselves as Californian before American, and they're not native people. Many of them are not even citizens of the United States. And that is the problem. We live in an apartheid situation because we are perceived as separatists, when in truth, the people who believe that California can be something equivalent to the federal government are the true separatists that have discriminated against us. And this is very wrong.